have never heard a single person talk about how good this plant smells. I got this for $1.50. Can you imagine? Because this was a hot tip from a viewer that worked. Let's put on a smile and let's get through the gloomy days together. Go into our plants and have some fun and get some joy out of our hobby. These are the things that helps to get us through the gloomy days. So, hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm ready to have some fun with you today. It brings a little bit of joy and sunshine, inner sunshine to this gloomy day. I'm so glad you decided to join me here today, and I hope to make it worth your while. What are we doing today? So I did a poll recently and a lot of you asked for plant chores, chatty videos. So let's do some today. I just got my delivery this morning from the prop studio. I just started buying pots from them. I love their pots and I'll show you why. They've got a lot of really nice self-watering pots, and I showed them as well in my last video that I did sort of an unboxing of my shipment. But what I like about their self-watering pots is that they have clear containers. So it's a game changer being able to see what's inside or what your roots look like when they're in self-watering pots, right? And I love self-watering pots. Fun fact, I will be traveling soon. So I'm trying to set up all of the plants that need self-watering pots, all the repotting that needs to be done. I'm trying to do it as soon as possible so that my plants have time to adapt and adjust while I am here, so that when I'm away, I know I have that peace of mind to know that they're already adjusted and they're just going to be going on business as usual in their pots, in their new pots. So I got a bunch of these clear self-watering pots. She also, it doesn't ship during the winter, or I think she's gonna pause business during the winter. So I thought that I'm gonna stock up. It's a good idea to stock up on the pots. So I ordered for my mom and myself. So I got the smallest kind because I have a lot of tiny Hoya. And then I have the medium. So it's small, medium, yeah. So this is the medium. She probably has a video of this up on her channel already, and I probably should have checked that out. But I would have loved to get like more pictures or like a better visual of what the pots look like. So if anybody is going to shop from the prop studio, this is not sponsored, but hopefully this is helpful to you in how the sizing works. So this is small and this is their medium. I showed these, and here's what I wanted to get sort of a better visual of. So this is for my mom. So this is the large. So there's small, medium, large, and then there is like an extra large, and then this guy, what she calls the beast. So this is the lineup of the pots. So if you watched my last potting video, my last one on my main channel, because I have some on my Patreon as well, she surprised me that she also has another business called the Atelier, I think it's called. And she surprised me with a bunch of her accessories because I saw them on her Instagram and I love them. So this is one from her the last batch that she sent me, and I've been wearing the hoops. I've been wearing the hoops like crazy. So if you watch a couple of my videos since then, I'm either wearing those hoops or nothing at all. I haven't used all of them, so I actually used 2 of the ones she sent me, and I use them in videos and out and about in person because I love them so much. And this is another new one that she had sent me in my first batch. So I thought I'd wear them today and sort of brighten up my look because I could use an extra bit of spice today. And she surprised me yet again and sent me, ooh, this is even more exciting. I was very surprised when I saw this. She sent me these bracelets, and this is what they look like. Oh man, they're so cute. It's like my color, this sort of blush color, the pink blush tone is totally my color. Yep. So again, not sponsored. She knows that I love the accessories that are in her Atelier shop. So that was very kind of her to send those to me. Thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate it a lot. Pretty. So of course, I'm going to put them both on right now because that is me. And of course, I like them a lot. So you're going to be seeing them a lot soon. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with some repotting. I actually found some pests Yeah, I know. Wow, I found some pests. I found some, I think, red spider mites on some of my Alocasia fridex. I saw some on another one of my plants. So we're going to deal with those today. I'm going to get my treatment of choice and take you along with me to show you how I do that. And yeah, we're just going to get a little bit of repotting done. So the stuff's right behind me. So today on the docket, we are going to include mostly Hoya because I do think time for some of them to be repotted. They've been in this icky setup for a long time and it's time for me to give them new homes. Let's start with this little guy because this was a hot tip from a viewer that worked and I'm very thankful. I'll have to look for her name and the comment she left me, but she said that her Hoya Larissa is, I can't remember if she used the word thirsty, like if she said it was a very thirsty plant. I think she might have said that. But anyways, whatever her comment was, it prompted me to spend a little more time watering the plant more. And just every few days, I would just go and top it up with fresh water. So it's in this sort of setup here. I mean, not the cutest, but I grouped them in here together just because to make it easier for myself. And I didn't have more self-watering pots. Look at that. We now have a new growth coming in right here. She shared that with me. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for sharing that thought with me because I finally have a new growth with that and it's definitely linked to your tip. Adding more water and watering it more frequently. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So that makes me it makes me happy. Over here, I have my mixture. This is a soilless mix. I have the recipe and the ingredients and the whys on my Patreon page. And I will also put a direct link to that video in the description down below so that you can find it easily. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here at the bottom. Another viewer left a really helpful comment of not handling perlite. I mean, this is probably very well known, but I didn't think of it. But they mentioned not handling perlite. I feel like I popped some roots there. Not handling perlite when it's dry. Here are the roots. So it definitely had a little bit of root damage there. Wasn't happy, but it started pushing out some more roots and is doing a lot better. So I'm happy about that. I hope I'm not making the same mistake where I'm using the super long wicks on the super short ones, but oh well, let it happen. Anyways, yeah, so the one thing that I'm doing differently now, these things happen. One thing that I'm doing differently now that, oh man, oh, I ripped the leaf. Oh my goodness, man. Ah, isn't that so annoying? Stephanie. How disappointing. How disappointing. Yes, I'm disappointed at that. Finally got a new leaf on this plant and I ripped it. I dropped it. Okay, so I was saying that he was saying that you shouldn't, the viewer was saying not to handle perlite dry. So I made sure to wet the perlite. Like I literally just put the bag into the sink, filled up the bag with water, made sure all of the perlite got wet. And then I poked a tiny hole at the bottom to drain out all of the water. Not big enough for perlite to be able to fall through. Anyways, that's plant number one. That's it right there. I'm a little disheartened that I broke that leaf. And no, I'm not gonna rip it off. I'm gonna leave it right there with the false hope that it will sort of heal itself. I know it won't, but that's so unfortunate. But anyways, now that I've put it into self-watering and I hope to be watering it more, hopefully I will get more new leaves. But thanks again for this tip. Excuse me, plant number 2 on that list, I will handle my Hoya polynera Brogay. That's the next one on the list. She has also benefited from the increased watering. So again, here I was bashing all of these plants and they probably just needed a little bit of more water, more consistent watering. Who knows? That's probably what they needed. She has some roots coming out here at the bottom. And that's another reason why I'm going to repot them now, because Hoya, well, I want to say much like many other plants, but Hoya especially, they do not like when their roots get ripped. Especially those thin-leafed Hoya, they're not super resilient to the shock of having their roots ripped, like when their roots grow through the holes and having it ripped. So I'm trying to get ahead of them, especially for plants that I know I don't want to leave in the pot. So eventually they're going to do the same thing to the tiny self-watering pots, but that's okay because I plan on leaving them in them for a long time. But with these temporary pots, I don't want to have them get too comfortable in here. So far everything looks good. Nothing crawling on the roots. The roots look healthy and happy. They look good. Not looking too bad. I'm going to try not to disturb them at all. And it also has a new little growth coming out at the bottom here, which I like. So I won't have to chop. You see it right here? I won't have to chop. I'm pretty sure if I cut it, it will help it to push out new growth. But ideally, I don't want to have to do that, right? I'm going to let it do that naturally. And when it sort of slows that down, then I will start chopping. So, fun news, happy news. I've always heard of people talking about how the Hoya Croniana Super Silver, how theirs is so generous when it comes to flowering, blooming. Everyone talks about how theirs just constantly pushes out blooms. And mine, I've had it for almost a year. I think January would make it a year. Maybe I've had it 10 months and it has never pushed out any blooms for me. Even if it's so big and it was at one point thriving, now it's sort of, existing. But I was just surprised that it's never done anything for me. Anyways, I recently repotted it, and I think it was actually in my last repotting video. I repotted it, and of course, it was super stressed, so stressed. It just misbehaved. It dropped all the new leaves. When I say it dropped all the new leaves, you know how Hoya, when with the baby leaves, like the tiny leaves coming along, it would just let go of them and they won't get a chance to mature. It would do that. And I was like, okay, you're super stressed. There's nothing I can do about this right now. We just have to sort of let it go, let it go through this phase. So here I'm trying to get this to be a little bit deeper, because when they're too shallow, they sort of fall out easily. And I'm trying to do it very delicately because I don't want to damage that little growth there. Right. So I'm like, well, now you're pretty stressed out. We're back to the Super Silver. So hopefully you should be pushing out some blooms soon. I was checking every couple of days for blooms, nothing. I didn't notice anything. And I guess I maybe forgot about it. And then I was watching, I can't remember what video, but I was watching a video last night about Hoya blooms. I think it's with Sean's interview. Oh my goodness. If you love Hoya, there's a video by Sean, Only Plants. He visits a Hoya farm. Oh my goodness, that video is so good. If you're a Hoya lover, you have to watch that video. It is so good. I think I'll try to link it down below. I don't remember what country this grower is from, but basically it shows us all the different Hoya that... Anyways, let me finish my first story and then we'll go into that second story. All of this to say that my Croniana Super Silver is pushing out 2 peduncles that look like they're going to do something. So exciting. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. So this is the Polynura looking nice. I like her in this pot. So afterwards, we're going to soak them down nicely, but it looks pretty good. I like it. Excellent. All right, let's just do this guy. Right. This is the Hoya verticillata. I think it was formerly Webergiae, but it's now reclassified as verticillata. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm trying to get plants out of this setup here because I think they need better treatment. Anyways, so he took a tour on this farm, and I'm not gonna try not to give too much away. Like, go watch the video, it's so good. But he was just talking a lot about how he creates new types of Hoya. And in essence, he says it could take as long as 2 years. How he does it, I will let you watch the video to get that information. It was quite fascinating, and I really appreciated that trip to that place. And of course, I followed them on Instagram. And oh my goodness, if you love Hoya, the eye candy, oh my goodness, like showing pictures of Hoya I've never seen before. Man, it was so good. It was so good. I learned a lot, and it was just fun to look at someone who loves Hoya and dedicates so much time to creating new Hoya. And I don't think he does tissue culture. I did not get that from the video. Maybe he does, but it's not from tissue culture. He does another technique, which I never actually quite thought about how different varieties of Hoya come about. And if it's not via tissue culture, like taking a variegated plant and then a green one and sort of bringing them together, if it's not like that, then how are you getting variegated Hoya, or how are you getting, right? It's so interesting. Watch the video. It's really nice. I enjoyed that video, and it just gave me so much more appreciation for my Hoya. And sometimes it feels like the Hoya community is growing, because I know like a year ago I wasn't into Hoya. I was like, oh my goodness, why have all of these teeny tiny little plants? Like, what's the point? You know, I definitely was more into bigger plants and that could fill in spaces. And so I think a lot of plant collectors are like that too, which is fine. Like, I mean, collecting plants is such a personal thing, and there's so much variety. So, you know, it's nice to find out what you like and sort of stick to that for a while. And, you know, my point is, for a while I didn't appreciate Hoya, and it was just nice to see a video of someone who liked Hoya for all the reasons that I liked it. And it just made me even more excited for Hoya as well. So if you're into Hoya, or if you want to see what the fuss is, I recommend that video. So just checking out, just doing an assessment. There are some black spots like on the back of the leaf. It could be just the way the plant grows, like the growth characteristics, or it could be bites of something, but I don't see any pests on it. And the new leaf seems to be growing beautifully. Since I started watering it more, it started pushing out new growth. So here I was really hating on these plants, and the issue was me. I'm the problem, it's me. It was me. I was the problem. I needed to water them more. The problem should be averted. I think that's how we say it. The problem should be gone now that they're in self-watering, and they could take what they need when they need it, and they're no longer waiting on me. But there we go. I wish I could make it stand upright, but the stem is so long and the pot isn't deep enough. So anyways, as it grows, I will eventually cut and stick back in to make a fuller pot. But yeah, that's this one. Look at us knocking them down, going quickly as we chat. I don't think I've ever showed this to you before on my channel. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But this is actually a Hoya Hushkiliana. From many of the plants that I've lost in the past, when I notice it's going down, I try to quickly propagate and try to quickly rescue it. So this was one of my attempts to save one of my dying Hushkilianas. And this pot was actually no drainage. So it was like an up and down journey with this, because I went overwatering, underwatering, overwatering, underwatering, because I had no drainage in here. So it was a little bit of a mess, but anyways, and it seems like I have another little guy in here that, you know, that's sort of not taking off, but he's hanging in there. He's really hanging in there. Hope you can see that. Yeah. Ideally, Hoya Hushkiliana does not like being repotted, but let's see, do I have enough pots? Well, I've already messed with it, so I have no choice. I have to repot it. Now I'm looking back at it like, oh man, I really shouldn't have done that. But you know what? It's done. So I guess it's gonna get to be repotted now. I'm trying to get my plants set up so that they can be self-sufficient without me. So there are a few things that I usually did for my plants before when I was traveling, but now that I have a plant room now and things are different, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do differently? And now I have way more plants than I had before. So the last big trip that, or like long trip that I have taken was, I want to say, my trip to South Korea last fall. So that was actually the last time. All the other times are like just short camping trips. This one is going to be more than that. So I'm now trying to prepare myself for these long trips away, trying to figure out different techniques and things I can do now to get my plants ready for time without me. So I'm trying to think of the things I need to do ahead of time. So one of the things is getting a bunch of new pots, putting everything that needs to be repotted into self-watering pots, sort of getting that done. And then another thing that I'm going to do is significantly reduce the timer on my grow lights. So right now, I think the grow lights, the timer is either 10 or 12 hours. I'll put the correct number on the screen, especially because, like I said, the days are super dark and really short. So I'm going to reduce them to be as low as 6 hours when I'm gone. I was watching You Don't Even Grow There. You Don't Even Grow Hair. She was doing the same, getting her plants ready for her time away. She reduces her grow lights to as low as 6 hours. I mean, they should be fine with 6 hours. The reason behind that is that they will grow slower and use less water, so they'll need less care because they're growing at a much slower rate. Versus if you leave everything the same, they're going to need the same amount of care. That's what my plan is for now, to reduce the grow lights to 6 hours and minimize as much damage as possible, the damage that could be had. All right, so we emptied out this little thing here. I'm very happy about that. So now I can put it aside for the next batch of maybe propagations or whatever. I like reusing these containers. I also need to put some of my alocasia in no drainage pots. That's what's coming next. You're still here. Like what you see? If you do, let me know by giving me a thumbs up down below. And almost 70% of you watch my videos without subscribing. So consider subscribing. It's free and it lets you know when I release a new video. It also really supports my channel. All right, let's keep going. I just realized that I have not unpackaged. Bought these maybe a week ago. Yeah, and they're still in here because I've been waiting for the right time to sort of get this done. So I went to a thrift store and I got some clear pots because my goal is to put all of my alocasia in self-watering, but not self-watering, into no drainage, but also to put my anthurium also into no drainage. So that's the goal. This time the finds were not quite as lovely as the first time, but you know, I'll manage. So I got a couple of them to act as saucers. So here's a plant that I've been underwhelmed with so far. It hasn't quite grown in a way that I imagined it to grow. And I think a big reason could be because it's getting terribly underwatered. The new leaves are coming out really small. It's trying to be great. So I thought of getting this and sort of popping it in here. The drainage pot is very small and I was always worried to overflow it. But now that I have these, at first I was going to put this in here so that I could water it without having to worry about spilling. Self-watering. And I think that would be the best way for it. So I might do that. And then this is my last one here to put one of the alocasia in. So I'm going to put one of them in here and one in here. I know this bottleneck here is a little bit tight. I got this for $1.50. Can you imagine? You can't beat that with a stick. So anyways, the alocasia is going to go in here and then I'm going to put that in here and I'm going to put this underneath perhaps my my pothos mandula, my mandula pothos, because Again, that's another plant that I actually want to water more than I do, but I'm always scared of the reservoir overflowing and damaging my floors because I don't think hubby would like that very much. I mean, I wouldn't like that either. So I got these tiny ones for the same purpose of acting as sort of not reservoirs, but like drainage. So, like when I get the tiny little new plants that come in those tiny little cups, I could just put the cup in here and it could sort of, I could water it freely and then the excess water would just go in the tree, in the glass vase. And, I think it'll also be good for so many other things. And this one could also be used for propagating as well. I just think it's one of these things that you're like, I feel like I'm gonna have use for it. I just can't think of it right now. I'm gonna use it and be like, right. That's what I needed to use it for. I'm on to something. So I got two of this and two of this. And I think they were 50 cents each or maybe $1. So again, not bad at all. Anyways, I'm just going to rinse these out and then get started. Hopefully this should be easy peasy. Just a matter of pouring from one vessel to another. Ooh, this one's pushing out a new growth. This one is a bit narrower. This one's a bit wider. So I think I'll put the narrower one in here to sort of support this. I might regret this later. But just popping this in here, super easy. This is my favorite kind of repotting, where it's more like a transferring of plant. It wasn't even very well rooted in here, like nothing to talk about. All right, let's not get creative here. Yeah, just gonna pop it in here. See some corms sticking out. Actually, how deep do I want this to be? I feel like I'm gonna regret it. It looks like one of those repotting jobs that later I'm gonna be like, you know what, Stephanie? The bottleneck was too narrow. But I don't think it's that much more narrow. I think it'll be fine. I think the corms, any corms that want to be activated will have a hard time. But apart from that, I think we'll be good. Yeah, no pests in here. It's just, these plants must be so sick of me, repotting them so often. It's funny because in my mind, alocasia were always like very difficult plants. And I'm not gonna lie, they are, they do lose leaves a bit more than, one would like, but they tolerate me moving them around constantly, repotting them constantly. I'm sure you already know this, but just in case you're new or maybe you missed it in the last video I talked where I mentioned this, this had an accident. A shelf fell on top of it and flattened it. That video is up on my Patreon channel, which shows what exactly happened. It's still hanging in there despite having lost a bunch of leaves. I feel like it's trying to push out a new leaf here, which is nice. So this is leca from my mom. And these are huge, like, man. And they're a different color and everything. She went on this sort of journey of putting everything into leca. Remember when leca was like, it became the it. I should have done this the other way where leca went at the bottom and the pond at the top, but that's okay. I would have used less pond that way. Yeah, I was saying, remember when leca was like the it substrate? People were like,
if you're not growing in leca, are you even growing plants?
So she got into it, she loved it, but after a while, just like I think what happens with pond, some plants sort of not reject it, not outgrow it either. Some plants after a while, they sort of start to experience a downfall. But in terms of performance, they sort of peak and then start to curve down, and she started noticing that with some of her plants. So her new current favorite is Molly's Aeroid Mix. She's in love with the thing. She was very doubtful, and now she has bought more bags of Molly's Aeroid Mix than I have. This is my Alocasia Black Velvet. It is one of my favorite plants in my collection, despite it looking a bit worse for wear. And yes, that leaf there, it does look like it wants to say bye-bye. But again, like I say with alocasia, old leaves will get cut off when I say so, not because it's bowing its head. Because alocasia likes to do that, like, I'm ready to go. Like, no, I spent months trying to grow you, trying to grow that leaf. No, you're gonna stay here until I say it's time to go. So her current fave is mollies, but I love mollies too. I really do. But right now I'm trying to focus on making my own medium. I only use mollies for plants that sort of are difficult, and I'm a little worried about if I can really give them the care that they need. So that's when I will use mollies. I think this is a silver dragon, right? This also got hit in the mess. I want to call it the shelf debuncle. Right now I'm trying to focus on sort of perfecting my own medium, my own mix, because I do think it's a little bit cheaper. And I also think that I have more control over my medium. I can manipulate my substrate. I can make it more water retentive, less water retentive. I know, okay, this is going to be under grow lights, so I need to make it even more water retentive. Or, oh no, I'm going to put it in a darker place. So maybe I should make it less water retentive so that it's not overwatered, if you get what I mean. So I just prefer having that control. But again, for plants that I'm not quite sure of the care and how they will fare in my conditions, I just like putting them in mollies because it's sort of very safe. It cradles them a little bit. Okay, so I think I have way too much substrate at the top, but that's okay. If I tilt it, it's gonna. But yes, love me some clear vessels. You could just see right through it. It's very beautiful. And for some reason, these don't get very mossy. Some of my other, like the self-watering pots at the bottom, they get pretty mossy. But I'm not sure if it's because this is glass and this is plastic. My glass vessels don't get as mossy as quickly, which I really appreciate. That is great stuff for me. So this looks pretty good. These plants did not live in these containers for very long, so I'm pretty confident that they don't have any pests in them. And if they do, that's a risk I'm willing to take because I'm not getting up to rinse them out. What I will do though is I will pop this guy in here. Yeah, this pot is a little bit bigger. This again is my El Choco. Man, this is a good. It's funny, I have never heard a single person in talking about the El Choco Red talk about how good this plant smells. It smells good. Like when I say it smells good, it's not like it's a floral scent. It has a very earthy sort of scent to it. No, it's not my soil. It's not in soil, but it's not my substrate. It's the plant itself. It has this very earthy sort of. I can't explain it, and I don't think I'll be able to. I don't know. Maybe it just was coincident. Now I can't. Yes, there's a little bit of like a nice scent to it. Like not a fragrance, just it smells good. Okay, I didn't realize that. I have you chucked away in a corner. If I knew you smelled so good, I probably would have. Anyways, so apart from me making a complete mess, I'm gonna try to put it in a little bit deeper. Take a look at the roots. I do have some rotting roots, just a couple, because once again, inconsistent watering, right? Me being afraid to make a mess, prioritizing my flooring. I do need some support for this, but I don't want to put it on a moss pole. I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I'm ready for this to sort of take over. Yes, Nala? I'm not ready for that yet. Another thing that I think I not did wrong, but I could have done better was make this substrate a little bit more water retentive. And I didn't because, no, Nala, no, 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 you can't jump up here. And I didn't because, no, this is not cuddle time. No, Nala. This plant, I don't want to say it's a thirsty plant, but I do think my medium is a bit too fast drying for it. Even if I think I had a lot of my retentive property in there, but I still think it wanted a little bit of soil. So this is my, I think it's in my DIY aeroid mix, my soil-less mix. I'll have to actually go back in my own videos to try to find out what mixture it's in. Hi, no, Nala, you can't. Hi, but no, you can't. You can't come on here. I don't want to make an even bigger mess. All right. Man, you smell good. You smell good. If you have an El Choco Red, go smell it. And let me know if you know what I mean. If you smell anything. It smells like, I have no idea how to describe it, apart from it smelling very earthy, sort of that smell when a fresh rain, if you're a millennial. I think I saw online that millennials often talk about or think about the smell of fresh rain. It's a thing we used to probably talk about back in the day, but it smells like fresh rain. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Wow, look at these. The newer vines are burgundy, and it is a little, poor thing's a little dehydrated. All right, so I've had these self-watering pots for a while. I don't love them. No. Would I repurchase them? No. I always wasn't sure if I liked these clear self-watering pots because I always thought to myself, I don't want to see the moss buildup. So the moss buildup is a bit unsightly, but at the same time, you get to see how low your reservoir is. But with this one, it is just so, it is not very, like, you look, you see how easily this comes out? Like the weight of the plant up top will quickly disconnect this. So not my favorite at all. I probably should have put it in the other self-watering pots that I got, but in that poll from my community tab, precisely 2 people, or maybe 1 person, I should say, asked to see watering content. So this is for you and whoever else might enjoy it. So this is my Alocasia Black Velvet that you saw me repot earlier. This water bottle has just my typical fertilizer in it, which is the Miracle Grow fertilizer, the water soluble one, the little green pellets. Yes, I put that into the water bottle and just water my plants from it. And here we have the Silver Dragon. I just love the way they look in these clear vessels. They look really good. And next is my philodendron El Choco Red. I just realized that I only called it El Choco in the whole video. I never said that it was a philodendron. And so what I did is just give it some water from the top. That way the roots can sort of get some water. That substrate can become moist. And now I'm just filling in the water reservoir. I did a lot of repotting in this session, and so some of the content or some of the plants that I recorded will be on my Patreon feed. So this is a glimpse of one of the plants that was included in this session, but not in this video. And this is another one that was repotted in this session. It's mostly Hoya and some Hoya that I'm really excited to finally have in their permanent permanent pots. That sounded nice. Yep, so if you'd like to get a glimpse or check out that video, it's going to come out a little later in the month, and it'll be on my Patreon page, which is at Lucian Steph on Patreon. And for plants that I'm watering here, that's part of that repot. I'll just have my little Patreon logo there, so you will know where to find the footage of me repotting it. 2 of the plants in that session or in that video that I'm super excited to have repotted is this one, Hoya Carnosa Wilbur Graves China, and my Hoya Compacta Mauna Loa. These 2 I was so excited to get into their permanent places. You'll recognize these 2 cuties. This one is my Hoya verticillata that I repotted just now, and I put a little too much water in the reservoir, but since it's a brand new pot, a brand new cup, I just poured some into the Hushkaliana. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out and that it's finally growing. And I'm just gonna pop these 2 into place soon. This bottle has my Hoya fertilizer. It's different from the Miracle Grow. That's a different one that I use for my Hoya. It's either being discontinued or something, because right now it's very hard to find, and I'm just trying to capture a bottle here and there, but soon I'll have to find something different for my Hoya. And this is my Hoya, I always forget this one, my Hoya Polynera Brugge, or Brugat, depending on how you pronounce it. So it's time to put my alocasia back into their places. Be careful next to the Sansi grow lights because the bulbs are exposed. They can get a little hot. I did sort of bruise my arm on it, so be careful. And here's my lovely Jose Bono that I recently shared in my favorite houseplants of 2024 video. Thanks again for watching. Here are some videos I think you might enjoy. A big thanks goes out to our channel Patreon members. There's Rachel and Carla in the Diamond Falls tier, Patricia in the Piton tier, and Lynn and Lainey in the Pigeon Island tier.